Hi everyone, it's your girl Atia. I am one half of the duo with the Relationship Realness podcast, and I just wanted to stop in and just give you three tips if you are in a relationship. Finances is still one of the number one causes of divorce and breakups in relationships. So, with the epidemic of the coronavirus, I figured I would just stop in because I'm sure most of you are being affected in some type of way, whether someone has lost their job or reduced hours, or if the kids are now home from school, which means you have to increase your expenses as far as having more food in the refrigerator. So I just wanted to stop in. But once again, I will say that I am Atia, one half of the duo uh, from the Relationship Realness podcast. And so if you are not a member, be sure to search Relationship Realness on Facebook and join the group. So now for my tips. The first tips that I would have is if you have not already, create a plan. Go over your budget and see what expenses are a necessity as well as a want. And some of the wants could be maybe it is multiple channels on your cable network, maybe it is a streaming service from your favorite radio station or such as BT Stream or Amazon Prime. Go through all of those expenses if you have not already. I hope that most of you have already had a budget and you already know what your expenses are and have already had the conversation about what will happen if one of us lost our job or had to have reduced hours. You already knew. But if you haven't, this is the perfect time to know all of your expenses and decide where you can cut. Some places are um, reducing late fees or allowing you to pay late. I know we recently here in the Philadelphia area from Pico, as the electric company said that they would not cut off services during this particular time, at least up until May. And that is good for some because the reality is some of us, we actually do live paycheck to paycheck. And to be off for weeks at a time, it really could be detrimental to our homes and our well-being. And so once again, the number one tip I will have is see all of the expenses that you can cut out. For some of you may have children and they're in karate and all of these extracurricular activities, they should be suspended. So that should also help you with money that you don't have to put out. But just create that budget if you didn't have one already and just go through it and see where all your money is going at and reduce those expenses and cut off those services that are uh, wants, such as your streaming services, those types of things. Number two, uh, I would say is see where all your money is at. Once again, if you already don't know where all your money is at or how much you have in each account, right now is a good time. Maybe you have different savings accounts, checking accounts. Also include your IRA expenses as well as your 401k expenses. Of course, the goal is not to touch those things. However, you do need to know where all of your money is located and how long does it take to access it. That's just keeping it real. The number three tip I will have is how are you able to utilize your skills? Maybe you didn't have enough time to work on people's houses because of your job. But if a lot of people are home, including yourself, you can use this time to do handyman work for others. If you braid hair or do hair, you may can create some extra income regarding that. If you've always wanted to write an ebook on your expertise, this is the perfect time and put it out there in order to gain some extra income. But this is just the perfect time to do some of those things that you wanted to do or that you didn't have the time to do before. So the three tips are: number one, if you haven't already, review or create that budget, review it and see where your money is going and see all of the expenses that you can cut out, streaming services and different things like that. Number two is understand where all your money is at and how soon do you have access to it or you can get access to it. A lot of people may have money, but it's in assets like properties or investments. But you want to be sure how fast you can liquidate some of those things if need be. So, with that being said, you want to check your different savings accounts. I remember one time I had a savings account for my son and I didn't put any money in it for a while. And I was like, oh, I had forgot, all about it. It wasn't a lot in it, but it was about $1,500. And so during this time, if someone could find an extra $1,500, that would, probably hold them over for at least about a month or so worth of expenses. So just be sure to check all your savings accounts, your checking accounts between yourself and your spouse, as well as any retirement accounts that you have. For 401k, you may get penalties, or you are going to get penalties, but if you have like a self-directed IRA, you're able to withdraw the money at least that you put in after taxes. In most cases, you're able to withdraw that. Not any of the earnings, but the actual money that you put in. So if you need to pull from there in an emergency, you need to know how much it is that you have and how long does it take to access that money. And then number three is, what other things can you do? You may be quarantined from your job, but you can write that ebook. You can do a neighbor's hair. You can fix someone's heater. All different ways to make extra money during this difficult time. So until next time, have a safe and blessed week. Once again, it's your girl Tia, which is one part of the duel for relationship realness. And I just wanted to bring you these tips